Today we are going to be discussing my personal consumer behavior analysis. As you can see by the pie chart I've created, the majority of my money is spent on food, coming in at 30.8%. Next comes a basic necessity, gas, at 18.5%. Then my health and fitness section, consisting of spin classes and a gym membership, comes in at 15.4%. The other section, at 12%, consists of car repairs, oil changes, gifts for others, and random purchases that did not fit into their own category. At 9.9% comes parking at the train station. Next, dog care comes in at 6.9%. Home supplies and decor are almost at a tie with my Barnes & Noble addiction at just above 3%. Value proposition and exchange. I learned a lot about my personal exchange beliefs throughout this project. Firstly, I am definitely willing to spend more money and time on purchases that bring me a greater hedonic value. I am also willing to spend more money on items that make me or my dog healthier, as health and fitness have become a larger part of my life in the recent months. As for my personal value proposition discovery, after spending a few months tracking my purchases, I began to notice the importance of a strong value proposition statement. I was often motivated to buy items such as food, dog toys, solely based on value proposition statements that focus mainly on unique differentiation. If a company stated a beneficial reason to buy from them as opposed to their competition, I noticed that I was definitely more likely to do so. As for my needs and wants, my needs came down to really basic necessities, such as personal health and wellness, a clean home, transportation to and from school and work, and my dog's health and wellness. My wants are a little more extra, I would say, such as healthy food and organic options, healthy dog food, new dog toys, often for my pup, and a few health and fitness classes that I found fun to keep me motivated, as well as tasteful home decor so that I was motivated in my own workspace at home. External and internal influences. The external influences that I noticed affected my personal shopping and consumer behavior were societal standards, location, environment/weather, professional opinion, and price. So as for location, I noticed that if I was in a wealthier part of town, I was definitely more likely to spend a little bit more, maybe to fit in. Environment and weather had a big effect on the clothing items that I purchased, of course, and professional opinion came down to the food that my doctor recommended or my vet recommended for my dog's food and things like that. As for price, of course, I'm a college student, so budgeting was very important for me. Internal influences that affected my consumer behavior came down to my personal ethics, personal budget, again, as I mentioned, college student, and the feelings/emotion that the purchase brings me personally. Methods for satisfying motivators. So I noticed through this project that external and internal influencers affect reasoning a lot. And below, I've listed a few things that go a lot into methods for satisfying motivators, such as social and societal norms, budgeting, again, as a college student, achievement that could be personal or through how society feels that you've achieved something or not achieved something. Recognition comes back down to societal norms. You always want to fit into society or the group that you're around, and you want to feel recognized by those when you do something that you think is recognizable. Responsibility, we've noticed, like psychologically as well as personally, I noticed that my responsibility level affects a lot how I satisfy my motivators. So if I have something that makes me feel like I'm responsible for it, such as my dog, I'm more likely to pay a lot more attention to it. And then advancement is personal growth or advancement in your career or in society, and so on. So personal beliefs and how I utilize my resources. As for my beliefs, as I mentioned previously, health and fitness has played a large role in my life in the recent months. So those are main priorities for me. I also noticed that I do tend to shop smarter. Not always when I'm in clothing departments, I will admit, but I tend to shop sales section before I shop normal retail section. And then keeping my dog entertained with toys when I'm out of the house is a belief that I hold strong. I do not want him to be bored or anxious and tearing up my personal belongings at home. As for utilizing my resources, I do take the train rather than driving because I am trying to save my money as a college student, and driving would be spending a lot more money than taking the CTA since it is included in my tuition. And then, as I mentioned previously, I do always shop the sales section first. Hedonic versus utilitarian value. I've just listed a few below. So starting off with hedonic, spin class. I don't technically need spin class in order to keep myself fit, but it is something that I've noticed keeps me motivated and I look forward to it. So that plays a hedonic value role in my personal life. And then home decor, as I mentioned, it's not completely necessary, but it is something that I've noticed helps keep me motivated. So that has a hedonic value for me. Utilitarian comes down to food and dog food, cleaning supplies, car repairs under the other section. All of those play a very standard role. It's very rational and practical, and it doesn't play a very like emotional or sensory role for me. As for the both section, I decided to include this because there are some things in my consumer behavior that I noticed did kind of fall into the two. So dog toys, it is utilitarian because it is keeping the dog entertained and that's what it is meant to do. But at the same time, it's keeping him happy and it is combined with emotional and sensory feelings that fall under the hedonic value. Gym membership, as I mentioned, it's not 100% necessary, so it could fall under hedonic, but it is something that helps keep you fit, which I'd say is the purpose of it, which is utilitarian. And then clothing, it's a necessary piece, but a lot of people choose clothing, including myself, choose clothing as like a fashion item rather than just covering your body, so I put that under the both section. Next comes my critical self-reflection of my consumer behavior and values. I noticed that I tend to spend much more on food than I ever expected I would when I was creating that pie chart. Library cards would probably be beneficial to me because I spend a lot of money at Barnes& and Noble. My gym membership, when I was looking into how much I spend on it, I was wondering if it was even necessary considering I don't really go as often since I did discover spin classes. I did notice that I tend to value hedonic values over utilitarian values, and I am a generally impulsive buyer when it comes to dog toys, clothing, when I'm hungry or when I'm in a bad mood. And then I'm generally more controlled when I'm happy or well informed and focused. My final thoughts. So, overall, this project made me realize just how much small daily purchases add up over a few months. I learned that I am an impulsive consumer when it comes to certain items, such as clothing or dog toys, but I do tend to be more controlled when I have a purpose in mind rather than just aimlessly shopping. I also discovered that I tend to be loyal to brands and companies that I am familiar with. And finally, last but not least, is my Works Cited page. Thank you so much.